everyone to the Industry Web Café number 4. We are going to talk about young generations in manufacturing and insurmountable gap. So I am Marta Portales and I will be your moderator today. I coordinate the European Projects Department at Mobile World Capital Barcelona. We are a foundation that we have been working in different projects related to digital skills, more in a local way. And also we have been working regarding Industry 4.0 and manufacturing skills in the I4MS project, where we launched 2 initiatives in which you can see already the results. In the I4MS project, we created a think tank and a working group on digital skills, and we have just published the recommendations. We have been also doing a training catalog. This means that in our website, you will find different trainings. Some of them are free, some of them are not, but they all come from the manufacturing sector and from different entities across Europe, such as European Digital Innovation Hubs, clusters, and EU projects, such as the one that is organizing today, this webinar. So, what are we going to talk today about? So a study from 2018 predicted that more than 8 million manufacturing jobs worldwide could be unfilled in 2030. So why do industrials' positions seem unattractive? In this sector, which is crucial nowadays for Europe, there are some challenges that have to be addressed. On one side, we have to fight against some negative misconceptions, which we are going to ask today our speakers about this. And also there are different topics to be discussed, such as diversity, working conditions, the rapid changing of technologies, the skills that are needed, and the skills gap. So for this, we have today 3 speakers with us. They are the experts. So we have Estela Nieto. She's an electronics engineer from Ikerlan. Antonio Grasso, from Italy. He's an entrepreneur, technologist, a sustainability passionate, and also a founder and CEO. And we have also Georgia Apostolou from Greece, and she's a postdoc researcher at the Center for Research and Technology in Hellas. So I will give the floor now to the speakers, and each of them will let you know a little bit their expertise in 1-2 sentences and why they are here today with us. So Estela, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, hi, I'm Estela from the Basque Country in Spain. And as Marta said, I'm a researcher in Ikerlan, and I have a background in electronic engineering. Ikerlan is a technology center, which is also in the Basque Country, and it works doing projects for all the companies that are near Ikerlan, and also for other European projects like I4Q, which is in the project I'm working currently. And the I4Q project is an European project that seeks to give companies, especially manufacturing companies, the tools to improve the quality of manufactured products and to optimize the whole manufacturing process, aiming to zero defect of manufacturing.
Thank you. And Georgia?
Hello, good morning. I'm Georgia from Greece, from Center for Research and Technology, Hellas. My background is mechanical engineering, and my PhD was in industrial design engineering. So I'm working with manufacturers and research projects related to Internet of Things, to automation, and to the new goal for the next year, which is Industry 5.0. We are together with Ikerlan in many projects, but here we are for I4Q. We will explain better maybe if we have the opportunity.
Perfect. Remember that in the chat you have all the links to the projects, and also if you're willing to do some questions, don't hesitate and put them in the chat, and I will be asking them to our guest speakers today. And finally, the last speaker of today is Antonio Grasso. So Antonio, explain a little bit, why are you here today and what brings you to this discussion?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Antonio Grasso. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a company in Italy that is a technology company, consultancy and a technology company. I worked in manufacturing for many times for many years, I collaborate with implementing automation in the air. I like also to envision the future, so we'll try also to understand what we must expect in the future from manufacturing. That is a sector that is seen as yeah, like you say, dirty sector, but it's not true. It's not no more true in this year, because it's the infusion of technology in the manufacturing processes are really changing the status, changing the status quo of manufacturing. So it is really interesting to navigate through this concept for the future, for like Georgia say, industry 5.0, industrial metaverse, but also we are talking about this webinar is organized also by Integrate project. Integrate is a is a good example of how manufacturing is changing with injection of technology. So I want to say thank you for inviting me to this webinar. I'm really glad to participate and to give you my opinion about industrial manufacturing in the future and how the young generation can be involved in that. Thank you.
Perfect. And now I have several questions for you. And the first one is that under DemoFac, a poll was launched. There's you can see in their website the results of this small research. And it was asked about the main clichés of manufacturing. And the most popular answer was that there's an old-fashioned perception. So can you imagine what this means and how it impacts young minds? So I would ask you maybe Estela to start, and then we can go to Georgia and Antonio. What do you think, Estela?
Yes, I think that there is like two big ideas behind the old-fashioned perception. For once, it is that we relate manufacturing to our parents, maybe, that it was our parents who started working in manufacturing in companies. They didn't have the technology we have now. So there is like a really big age gap between our parents or us. And usually younger people don't want to do the same things their parents want to do. They try to go the other way. And they also have the vision their parents have, which maybe it's not the best. The manufacturing industry until not so long ago, it was not really technological. They didn't seek to add as much technology or other things to the manufacturing. They wanted to do it okay and to produce as much as possible. And maybe that's not what younger people seek. And also, I think that the second big idea is the media. The media has always looked down upon manufacturing industry, either for the pollution or because they maybe don't seek, or it's perceived as they don't seek to improve the technology. As I told before, Ikerlan is working for a lot of companies near in the Basque Country, and we have found that the companies do want to improve the technology, but either they don't have the money to improve because it's a lot of money you have to invest to get better technology, or when they get the money because of European funding or something like that, it is difficult to like know what they want to improve. So all these things do that result in companies not improving their technologies and younger people thinking that they can't invest, design, or do more technological things in these companies. So I think those two problems with the old-fashioned perception.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe Georgia, what are your input on this old-fashioned perception related to manufacturing?
I totally agree with Estela. So in the past, it was somehow connected that industry is associated with manual work. So they said that, okay, students that are not able enough to have good grades, then they will go to a factory and work. But of course, this doesn't happen anymore. I mean that it is not only the part that is of course, manual, and an operator tries to handle a specific machine, but there is knowledge behind that. And last years, with all this effort to speed the manufacturing process and to try to use, let's say, tools to make the manufacturing process easier, faster, safer for the workers, and also more friendly for the environment. There is a lot of knowledge and impact behind that. So also it makes it more interesting for young people to do that, because it is not that you only do something with your hands. There is a lot of process behind that. You should be aware of what you are doing. You should have knowledge on that. And of course, software development is a very important part of this process.
Perfect. And Antonio, what are your insights on this?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, for sure, I agree with Georgia and Stella, but I want to also add that, you know, the concept of the blue collar. We talk about blue collars, of people, that workers that with the dirty hand work in manufacturing. And this is, I think, the main cliche. I don't like that kind of, because our society is changing in the last year by, you know, advancing. People are changing. People are, I'm talking about Western countries, because the situation is a bit different in developing countries. So we must divide the discussion. If we are talking about Westerners like us, I completely agree that we are assisting to a shift from blue collar to more white collars. As a white collars, I mean people that are technicians, as Georgia said. We are dealing with the machines, no more with the manual tools. We are dealing with IoT. We must drive, we must manage, we must do, we must understand how the infusion technology, Industry 4.0 in the last decades brought to us. So there's our concept, old-fashioned concept. But if we are talking about Western society with Western countries, developed countries, the situation is big different from the past. Instead, in developing countries, we have still, sadly, unfortunately, I say, because I think we must do more to try to align our society model and production model globally, but it's not the topic of this webinar. But to respond to you, we must also consider what is the shift from old perception to the new perception. And I think also education has a great role as back. Sadly, the problem is that sometimes we are assisting at the a missed synchrony between the market, the actual market, the actual development, and the formal instruction, because not because the education is not good, it's absolutely good, but it's the world that is changing too fast. Now we are digesting Industry 4.2, but we are talking about Industry 5.2. European Commission envisioned the future of human-centric production, human-centric Industry 5.2, with inclusion, etc. So old-fashioned style, yes, the perception is dead, but that is changing. So I think with this webinar, we must also address what are the news, what are the something that can be changing in the next few years.
Yes, so you already introduced a little bit the next topic that we wanted to debate on. So it's important to have younger generations join the manufacturing field, and there are certain cliches. So which cliches do you think that they are challenging, that you believe are associated to the manufacturing sector? And how true are they, or how challenging are they? If you can think about some and explain how they hinder that younger generations also relate to manufacturing, it would be interesting to talk about this. So maybe Stella, can you give us?
Yes. So as they say, I think the biggest cliche after the old-fashioned is repetitive work or non-creative work, and also lack of creative thinking that this last 2 years has been the most spoken word, maybe pollution, or I mean that kind of words, and also maybe harsh environment. I think those are the most cliches that you can find in the manufacturing sector. And about if it is true or not, I think it depends greatly on the company. There are some companies that are trying to be as green as possible, to add as much technology as possible to make the work of the people creative, with designing, researching, and so. And there are others that even they can't afford to add technology or to be greener, or they just don't look for that, and they prefer to improve the profit and not other things that nowadays are important.
Perfect. Georgia?
Yes, I agree with Stella. It has to do also with the companies. So there are companies that they try to include in their systems new technologies, and others that remain stable like in the past. But I think these are not too many anymore, because if you see that your competitors do something better, you know, they try to evolve, then it goes on, let's say, autonomously, like everything goes there. So you should also evolve yourself, because you cannot survive. So I think that somehow cliches not stop to exist, but they are not so strong like the years before. So industry is constantly evolving and in a very fast pace. So we all run to catch up with the developments. So also industries try to do that. And of course, yes, I think that young people have different minds. You know, they are open to new tools, experiences, services, to knowledge in general. So they are eager to learn something and try to practice on that. So it is easier for them to start working on a company and learn something new and start directly trying to use it, you know, on the job. I'm not sure about people that are older, or it is not the age. I think it's the mentality. So if they learn how to work for 40 years, you know, it is difficult for them to do something new, or to stop using this tool and learn something new. I feel that maybe it needs more time for them and more energy. And if they work so hard for so many years, this makes it not so easy. Not impossible, of course, everything is possible, but they are not very enthusiastic. I think this is my way of thinking. I don't know if you understand or if you agree, actually.
Maybe Antonio, do you agree or disagree?
Oh, I agree. As I said before, you know, the perception is the blue collar, the dressing, the blue dressing of workers in an industry, in a fabric, in an industry, in a facility. Sorry, a fabric is another thing. But yes, also companies are important. But I think can be also the consideration of why I should dress blue. I would, because it's as I said before, it's the society that is changing, and in my opinion, also companies must changing, as Georgia said. But the cliche, they are hard. We are trying with this webinar to, you know, to debunk some myths about manufacturing. But it's not easy, because when you talk about metal production, you think that why I should be attracted by that? I want to be, I don't know, something different. I want to be can be, I want to do some work that is more accepted. So can be also my role in society as a blue-collar worker is something that can also impact on the consideration by young people, why they, they think that the cliche is not, but this is something that is changing really, really fast. And as Georgia said, companies must to adapt to this new situation, also to attract people, because the old-fashioned industrial manufacturing is no more real. We are dealing, as said before, with automation, with IoT, with the pervasiveness of digital technology is really unbelievable. So we are trying to change the perception, but it's not sufficient, in my opinion, only to relying on companies. We must also push the educational, the formal educational institution also to introduce what is the present, what will be the future, how the facilities, manufacturing facilities are working right now. So I think to debunk the myth and the cliche linked to all the fashion style manufacturing, we must work on many fronts, in my opinion.
Perfect.
I
So
mean,
we have,
sorry.
oh yes.
To what Antonio said, I think we have also in education created like a trap, because I have spoken with some friends that they have studied engineering in the university because it was what they supposed to do, which is related to what Georgia said, that it was looked down to work as a blue collar, I think it's called. And it's like, we don't want anyone to work as a blue collar, but we need blue collars. So it's like, there's no winning in there. It's needed, but we don't want. So it is, I want to what Antonio said, that I think it's really important, the education, and not to make younger generations so afraid of choosing something because it doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm. This comes to actually to the next questions that I had in the pipeline. What elements in your education can spark again the interest in working in the manufacturing sector? Maybe Estela, you can. Yeah, you can ask. I think it's more of a personal question, no?
Yes. I really think that nowadays, as work doesn't have the same, we don't look to the work the same way we did look in the past, as something you have to do to get money at the end of the month and to survive. I think we need to make manufacturing some place where you can grow as a person, to grow and to know more things with years, not something that you do your 8 hours or whatever a day and you get home and you forget about your work. I think it is really important to develop personal development or education development really important in the manufacturing world too. Not to get stuck in the same place for your whole life, which is kind of scary.
And Georgia, what is your own experience and the skills that you have, and what made you attractive to the career that you did pursue, for example?
Actually, I think it's my background. So mechanical engineering is something, it has to do with machines, it has to do with industries. So I was always eager to learn what is actually being done in a company. So not only on the theoretical level, but it was very interesting for me to see with my own eyes all the procedure and to see how a machine is working. But I think this is, a personal interest. So it's something that makes me enthusiastic, let's say. However, my studies led me somewhere else. So on the more theoretical, let's say, part of the work and on the research field mostly. But I'm happy here with this kind of projects because somehow I can combine these two experiences. When we visit a company, for example, that is also part of our project, it is on the consortium and it is a pilot case for the specific project. I find it very interesting to see exactly what is done during the manufacturing line. And I think maybe it is a way also to not to teach, but to show to the young students, because, you know, in Greece, for example, at 17 years old, you have to decide what you want to study. And I think it is too early for a child to decide what he or she wants to do. It is not possible because it has no experience and no knowledge on anything. So a way to understand or to give, you know, the passion to somebody to start doing something is just to explain or to show in reality what a profession, what a profession has to do. So if somebody wants to study, for example, software engineering, mechanical engineering, etc., it is important to visit a company, for example, and see what has been doing there. Maybe that way young people can be interested on that and actually understand with what it has to do. It is not only, you know, the final product that we take. It is very important to see all the process and understand all the stages and also the machines and the people that are necessary to have this product at the end. So if I go to the past and in my school age, I would like to see that. So it would offer me a vision of the future, let's say, like what I want to expect, what I have to expect.
Perfect. And maybe, Antonio, how can we do manufacturing sexy for the new generations? I don't know if you have some clues or ideas.
Yes, I think, as Giorgio said, yeah, presentation is important. It's essential because to have a vision. But what are you asking to me? What do you want to do? What do you want me I do to join manufacturing? And that is really important to understand that we must introduce to young people what the reality is, that is no more old-fashioned style manufacturing, but it's a new kind of manufacturing. As I said before, the shift from blue collar to white collar, that is in action. So we must also talk about the change, the shift in manufacturing process that are happening now. We must also talk about concept like servitization that is shifting. Integrata project is a good example of servitization, where people can design, another service center can 3D print the object. So I think really, yes, presentation is key. Envision what is now, what is the future, how they can expect, because young people, when they go to the school, they are young, they are not committed to work, they are committed to learn what the life pretend from them, what the working life want to, where they will be assigned in the working life. So I think presentation made at school or made by companies. In Italy, we have a program that allow young schoolers to come to my company for weeks to understand how is the working get done in a company, and is promoted by school and the union of school and companies, so people can witness the reality. But yes, I repeat myself, presentation is key in this context.
Perfect. And now I want to talk about a concept that was written by you. So the Industry 5.0, no, this human-centric approach. What skills do you think will be needed in the future regarding the manufacturing sector also to achieve this human-centric approach? Or since some of you have been doing research in this field, how do you think technologies should be adapted in the manufacturing sector to this more human-centric approach to make the most out of the skills that we as humans have? I think it's a difficult question, but of high interest. So maybe Estela, what is your input on this matter?
Yes. So I really think that with the 5.0 technology, there's like, with all new technologies, it's like a lot of, I know, a cloud in front of it. It's like a lot of people has listened to the word, but not a lot of people know what's within the word and why there is a 5.0 when there was other ones. So I think there are like a lot of technologies we have to be involved in this one. From one part, we have to make people know what it is and what skills do we need, and in the other part, we have to know what the manufacturing industries need about the 5.0. So we have data, we have processes. There are a lot of things to be added to the mix. So first of all, I think data is the most important theme. A lot of companies, they don't record information now because they think they don't need it, or they record information like from sensors and so, and they save it as it is. So there's a lot of cleaning, filtering, and data processing functions or algorithms needed. Also, maybe most of companies can't make the step to go to 5.0 when they don't have the infrastructure of other things. I mean, there's a logical way to get to the 5.0, and if you haven't done the previous steps, there's no sense to add the 5.0 without the other steps. With the data recording being one of them, maybe modeling of the infrastructure, maybe some machines, they even don't have the sensors they need. So I think before going to the 5.0, they have to do all the previous steps.
Perfect. And Georgia?
I agree with Stella. Of course, there is a procedure that should be done before go to 5.0, and some manufacturers maybe need other type of machines. But I totally agree about the data. So big data series, and how to handle this amount of data is very important. So at the moment, I think there is a lot of research on that. And we are also trying in the projects that we work to find tools in order to manage this amount of data. Of course, all artificial intelligence tools are very important on this stage. Filtering also of data, real-time data, of course, it is also very important and very difficult to have from industries. And ways of inspecting the working environment. What I mean is, for example, in companies that are closed, in industries that the room that the workers are working has, no openings. It is very important to see, for example, the conditions there, like the temperature, the humidity, the dust that is being produced while you make a product. So it is important to inspect not only the manufacturing line, but also the environment of the workers. And you can try to use there a lot of tools to manage all this situation. And of course, goal, I think, for Industry 5.0 is also the environmental friendliness, let's say, of the manufacturing line. So the emissions, CO2 emissions and their minimization, and of course, the materials that you use. and also the end of life of the material, like all the process from the time that you begin to use something until the end of its life. It is also very important for this life cycle analysis, and of course the way that your final product will be friendly to the environment or not. Of course, the process too.
Perfect. And Antonio, what's your input on Industry 5.0?
Yeah, let me say as first that there are names. There are names we give to some paradigm, some shift. I think the big really industrial revolution is the fourth, the number 4, the one we are living now, the cyber-physical infusion in the production. That is really a big shift forward, because the growing importance of data. Integrated project is a project that really on data. But so we cannot say that industry, in my opinion, Industry 5.0 is not the same shift as Industry 4.0 was, sorry. Sorry for my English sometime. So Industry 4.2 was a big shift from Industry 3, from the adoption of robotic, automation, and then the Industry 4.2, we start harnessing data and cyber-physical system like IoT, big data for analytics, like artificial intelligence. But now we are talking in the evolution from 4.0. Let me say we missed the 4.5. That is the confluence of many technologies that are creating more value to industry. Let me say, for example, AIoT. AIoT is a new kind of concept, is the infusion, the confluence of artificial intelligence and IoT. It means that thanks to the edge computing, we can put inference, we can do inference at the edge, so close to the machine, without the needs to send data in a central repository and then training. So that is a really important shift. But let me say what I like the most of the Industry 5.0. I wrote an article about how in the industrial metaverse is paving the way to the Industry 4.5, because the human centricity is very important. So we missed in Industry 4.2 the concept of humans, people, because we talked about technology, cyber data. Yes, they are entities, but we missed the people, and we missed also sustainability, the environment. What I like in the Industry 5.2 envisioned by the European Commission is the human centricity, the resilience, and a more sustainable world. Not only sustainable in terms of how much power I consume to create that product, but also, let me say, I want to note that integrated project has a bit of sustainable action in it, insofar when we can harness to avoid the transportation of the piece from the one center to another center. Imagine big metal pieces. So the fact that we can harness servitization, we can shift to production where we need, is also addressing sustainability. So there are many shapes of sustainability. We cannot talk only about the environment sustainability. We also must talk about diversity, inclusion, and also we must talk about a global scale, because everything we are saying in this webinar is related to Western people, to the developed people, but instead in developing countries the situation is very different. We must to really have a fair Industry 5.2, we must also insert inclusion in that concept, in my opinion.
Perfect. And this comes to the question that since we are talking about trends, how do you see manufacturing in between the next 5-7 years? And maybe since we talked about it before, Anthony, you can let us know what are your foresight for what is going to happen? Uy. Antonio?
It's to me, sorry.
Yes, sorry. I thought my connection was
I
lost.
was waiting for
No,
the woman to talk before me. Sorry.
No,
sorry.
but since we were talking about the Industry 5.0 and
Yes,
you already
yes.
introduced the term. Yes.
Let me say that I envision the future. I talked in this research. I made the research and then I wrote an article to spread my opinion about the Industry 5.0. The industrial metaverse will be really a change agent for, in my opinion, for the manufacturing. Can be more than the general metaverse, the consumer metaverse, in my opinion, because it's adding heavily new concepts that are really interesting. So I cannot envision what will happen in, let me say, 20 years. It's too much. It's a time frame, too long time frame. What we can talk is 5 to 7 years, since, like you said, I see servitization as main driver for industrial production, but I see what I call an autonomous business ecosystem driven by the metaverse, the industrial metaverse. We talk about, we are assisting this day to the crash of cryptocurrencies, you know, because cryptocurrency, they are the one product that is harnessing blockchain. But blockchain is not only cryptocurrency. Blockchain is an amazing technology that allows us to create, to decentralize. Decentralization and disintermediation are two concepts that will be injected in industrial manufacturing, in my opinion. Decentralization, that means you are not obligated to create, for example, a piece only in that facility. You can create with the servitization, with the data, like integrated project, you know, additive manufacturing. You can, harnessing additive manufacturing, you can create the piece where you need. Harnessing, exploiting the local 3D printing services, industrial 3D printing services, if there. But I think in the next 5 to 7 years, also, yes, the ecosystem will change. This concept of ecosystem that is pregnant to the industrial production, where it is not only a partnership, but it's really an ecosystem, a fertilizer ecosystem, is changing the way. So in the next year, I see servitization as a main driver. I see the DAO, the decentralized autonomous organization, that also are impacting now few projects, because we are in the early stage of blockchain adoption. But the blockchain has really a long way to go if we can strip the technology from the link to cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is not the only adoption for blockchain. So I see blockchain as a driver, as manager for the business, autonomous business ecosystem made of smart contract, made of electronic transaction settled by internal tokens, etc. But let me say, the role of people, the role of human will be even more pregnant to that, to the development of the future. Human centricity, in my opinion, is amazing. It is really, but we must enlarge our vision. We cannot create another silos. We are creating another silos here, because we are creating a developed nation silos. I made the developed nation is also USA, Europe, USA, China, and other fews, against big silos. We are leaving people behind. I think in Industry 5.0 will be real useful to people if we be more inclusive, and if we allow many other developing countries to grow. I have a personal experience that I run a page, a project on Facebook for that is empowering people, harnessing the social media contaminating power. I try to help them to understand what is happening in our world. But if this will is not, let me say, chosen by our global leader, we will create a beautiful Industry 5.0, a magnificent organization, a magnificent ecosystem digitally, but it will be another silos. So let me say, I want to point out that we must be more open to inclusion for developing country, in my opinion. Sorry if I talk about this, but I'm committed on that. It's important, in my opinion.
Perfect. And maybe, Estela, can you complement on what technologies do you think will be driving the change in manufacturing, which also at the same time will also be modifying the skills that we need in the future? Or will we finally have a human-centric approach in which humans decide actually what technologies need to do for them? No? I don't know. Estela, maybe you can let us know what your insights are here.
Okay, yes. I agree with some of the things that Antonio said, like the being able to produce things in the moment and custom things. I mean, its product is custom made for one person, and if you have to customize a product, you have to rearrange all the process of manufacturing that product. So easing that reorganization of the system and being that intelligent that the system, I mean, the manufacturing line knows how to improve how to change the line so that the product can be made as the user wants. And also the collaborative working, I mean, robots or machines next to people to work in the same environment, maybe with talking or with hand gestures that the robot knows what the person wants to do. I mean, like a lot of communication and collaboration between the person and the robot. And also, I hope in the future that the manufacturing industry takes out all the repetitive works from the people, all those things that you spend a lot of time doing, and those people can actually do things that are creative and that they need to research and not being repetitive. So I really hope that the collaborative thing and taking out repetitive works to have more creative works.
Perfect. And Georgia, what are your insights?
I think Antonio tell everything.
Yes.
Yes, it was very nice explanation, and I like the way of your thinking. It was very interesting. I think that the human-robot collaboration would be more advanced, let's say. About the technologies, I'm not sure. I think that, okay, yes, blockchain, it seems quite promising, but honestly, it's not my field, so I don't have so many technical knowledge on that, and especially in software. I understand the problem. I can propose solutions, but I don't know how to do that with software. So yes, for me, on my way of thinking, I think that the collaboration of humans and robots is very important, very crucial, because the goal is not to use robots instead of people, but to find a way to use them both and find a way to make them collaborate successfully. So what we want is to speed up the manufacturing process, but on the same time have a very good result, keep the persons that work safe, and of course evolve, not evolve, improve all the conditions and all the processes inside an industry.
Perfect. So for the last question that I wanted to make to each of you is, how are your projects impacting the manufacturing sector? And you can explain a little bit about your EU project, but also about your individual research if you want. So Estela?
Okay, so well, Georgia and I are working in the same European project. So maybe I speak about the specific solution I'm working in, and Georgia will explain the whole project in general. So maybe Georgia you speak first, and then I explain my solution.
Perfect. So
Yeah, no problem. So we work together on the I4Q project. In this project, we try to develop solutions which will be incorporated in the manufacturing line in order to help us detect errors, let's say, during the manufacturing process, and with alarms to be informed about that, and with the corrective movements to save, let's say, the manufacturing line and the final product, to save time, energy, money, and to speed up the process on a way. So we have 6 pilots, which are companies in different sectors, from white goods, ceramics, parts, metallic parts, components for airplanes, plastic parts for cars. So it's different companies with different materials, and of course different processes. And there we are trying to incorporate our tools and solve problems that they face during the manufacturing process. So CERT, my institute, is working on the quality diagnosis, infrastructure monitoring, and fusion. So it's tools that are used inside the manufacturing line to solve these kind of problems. For example, an error during the manufacturing process on a product, or a damage on the machine that is doing a specific work. And with alerts, we are getting informed on that, and we try to solve the problem. So I don't know, you can, Stella, I think, can say more technical details. So Stella, please.
Yes, well, I know more about the solutions we are doing in Ikerlan, but in general, there are like solutions for all this manufacturing cycle. From when data is taken, there are some solutions that make sure that sensors data is correctly taken, filtered, processed. Then we have also other solutions that storage data, make sure that the storage data is easily taken from there. There are also other solutions that make sure that data is securely sent from one place to other. There are like 4 or 5 advanced analytics solutions. And I think more or less that's the whole package. Then in Ikerlan, we are doing three solutions. The first one is the security handler that makes sure that data is encrypted, send it and unpacked correctly from one place to another. We have also the digital twin, which is a tool that can be used alone and also helps other solutions to carry out simulations. And so it creates models which can be done with other models. I mean, like takes different models and add them together to create like a new model, and also creates models with data. I mean, data-driven models. And then we have the prescriptive analysis tool that carries out a lot of simulations with a model, and it chooses which is the best configuration to optimize whatever the user wants to optimize. If the user wants to optimize the electric consumption, then you can know which configuration you need in the machine. If you want to optimize the time that it takes up to for a product to be made, you can also know which configuration, maybe to minimize the waste of a tool or so. And well, those are the 3 that are being developed in Ikerlan, but there are 22 solutions, I think, maybe. I can't remember if it's 22, but all of them for one part of the whole manufacturing production system to improve it.
Perfect. So, Antonio, maybe you can also explain us a little bit what you do as a founder and how you are driving also innovation within the skills and manufacturing sector.
Yes, I have a double role because, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. I run my company. My company in Italy is harnessing technology to accompany young startups, young people, because I work with them from, let me say, idea to success. You know, in Italy, I have a lot of, I'm managing currently 4 patents in insurance, in healthcare, and also in in media. And I did also many research about how you can, I was a research with the anthropomorphic robot with another company that is specialized in anthropomorphic. We identified a new kind of algorithm. But let me say, the other role that is to spread knowledge. This is, I think, this is important. I really like. My company is almost autonomous, and I'm happy for that. So I can focus on knowledge spreading about technology, industrial production, like also digital twin, for sure, intelligent twin. So I think spreading knowledge is the best way to create a better world, because people can harnessing the knowledge, they can understand. So I read the article, I made the research, I collaborate with the Italian news magazine where I publish my opinion about technology, but also I publish the article on LinkedIn. So who want to stay tuned with my work, my research, and my articles can follow me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Facebook if they like also a more inclusive world. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here today. If there are no questions, please let us know. And I don't know if speakers, if you have some final words that you would like to share. And yeah, so we have one question, Zakir. Maybe can you write it in the chat?
May I ask question, madam?
Perfect. Yes.
I would like to know from Sir Antonio, what is the main purpose of this webinar for especially transition countries like Pakistan I hail from? So how can we get benefit from such interactions? Sir, your take on this. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Can I? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Zakir. Thank you for joining us. Let me say the situation is not easy. I think Pakistan is making huge progress in this, but as I said before, you missed the initial part of the webinar where we're talking about, you know, harmonization, about developed countries and developing countries. But I think, Marta, this webinar will be recorded, so we can have it on demand.
Yes.
Yes. So yes. Zakir, I think you can watch it on demand, because we talked about before you joining us about what is the role. But I think it's not only Pakistan. We have also India. We have also many other countries, many African countries. They are trying to emerge. Pakistan is in manufacturing is really a gem, because, you know, we have for example, Pakistan work on tools for surgery. They are really good at forging metals, etc. But I fear that the answer will be too much long for this webinar. So I advise Zakir to, after this webinar, you can see the entire webinar where we talked about the difference between developed countries or developing countries. And then you can also send a direct message to me on LinkedIn. You can follow me there if you want a direct relation. But I think as a first, listen to the webinar, because the situation is not that easy to explain. We have actually currently we have silos. We have silos, geopolitical silos. as we are witnessing for the situation now. And our global leader must address this if they want to really create a sustainable and more inclusive future. But things are not easy. Things are not easy where superpowers want to stay on top, and they do not allow other countries to develop because they want to maintain the power. You know, the reasoning is shareholder capitalism, stakeholder capitalism. What will be the future? Now we have shareholder capital. So it's many things that we must put together to answer your question, Zakiri. It is very hard now because the webinar is over. Oh, can be, Marta, we can organize a webinar about that. I don't know, it's just a proposal.
So yeah, well, I think there are more web cafes that you will also be able to join, and Paul, who's writing in the chat, is the main boss, I would say. So thank you for the question, and also thank you, speakers, for all your answers and being here today. So it was a pleasure being the moderator, and I wish you a good rest of the day. So thank you all, and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Bye-bye.